Despite what you may think, you can actually reverse your insulin resistance, guys. And guess what? It's free 99. It doesn't cost a whole bunch of money, and it may or may not need to include GLP-1 medications, but the reality is there is a solution. It's pure lifestyle. And in this video, we're gonna get into the mechanics, how to do it, what exactly it looks like, and I'll support you guys as much as I possibly can. Remember, the narrative that you've been sold, that obesity and diabetes are chronic irreversible diseases, is bullshit. And I know a lot of functional practitioners will tell you otherwise. It is a chronic disease, but where the narrative flips for me is it's reversible. It's not easy. It's going to take the effort. It's going to take some science-backed options like GLP-1 medications and peptides, and most importantly, proper and aggressive lifestyle interventions with the right type of mindset behind it. So let's get into this one. So, having some issues as far as caloric intake. I know my BMR is about 22 and that I'm burning about 700 to 900 a day between the workouts and cardio. So that's give us about 3,000 for the whole day. Currently doing keto. I find that once I hit about 160 to 180 grams of protein throughout the day, I'm uncomfortably full at 1K calories, 24 hours a day, 24 hours after the 48-hour fast. So 1,500 calories, 48-hour fast, 1,800 to 2,000 thereafter. Andrew, do you want to elaborate on me? Are you able to elaborate on that?
So long story short, basically, I have no issue with fasting. I think basically the peptides and the AOD are new to me. So that being said, like I literally physically feel ill if I try to force myself to eat more than that. I can hit the protein ratios. I'm in, I guess, the ratios as far as keto to stay in like a ketogenic diet, basically. But it's getting past that 2,000 mark. And I know I'm at a deficit, and it's not for lack of trying, but I'm basically not doing the carbs and I'm already maxing out the protein for the day. There's only so much more you can do at that point. And it's just, if I eat any more, I literally will feel ill and I won't be able to hold it down. So that's a problem. Is like, what do you do to get over that hump? Now, if this was before, go ahead.
I was going to say, are you only talking about the day after the long fast or all 5 days?
It's like I said, it's a stage. So for the first 24 hours, about 1,000. Then the next day I can get up to about 1,500, 1,600. Okay. And then I can get up to about 2 the rest of the week. And then as soon as I inject again for the next injection, then it's back down to 0, pretty much 48-hour fast, 1,000, 15. Yeah. So I know that in the long run, I'm only a week and a half in, that right now it's not going to be an issue, but down the pipe, probably going to be a problem.
I agree. So I'm glad you're being like thinking like, how do we prevent this? So guys, basically, just to really recap, this is a really important concept because I've actually talked about this. I would say the only real issue that I've seen, other than the random kind of unique things, but as far as a common issue that people might run into with the FLOA protocol, is you're doing your long fast and then you're under eating the rest of the week. So if you zoom out on a weekly basis, what that really means is the deficit is too much. And yes, we're on a deficit because we're fasting for the 48 hours, but the ideal goal is for the other 5 days, we're eating enough. It doesn't have to be so specific, so targeted, but somewhere around your TEE, that neutral is what we're looking for roughly. And I notice that's where most people aren't going to get into a plateau, but what Andrew's saying is a real thing. He's under eating on those days just because he physically can't. What dose, Andrew, are you on right now?
I'm only on 25 units. It's literally second week.
Yeah. So this is one of those situations where we know that we're not concerned with overeating. So the only two paths would be finding strategic foods that are more dense or decreasing the dose, because you have to get that intake in. And right now, obviously the GLP-1 is making it harder for you to eat enough. And so those are two paths right there. I know it's barely your second week, so I couldn't imagine you're feeling, but some people do feel a pretty high appetite suppression. Overall, do you think there's just a thinking of how you would normally react? Do you feel like there's a great appetite suppression already from the med?
Absolutely. I could house 3,000 calories in a day before this, no problem.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, that's the thing. Some people are like, I can never eat. It's okay, fine. But then I think the path probably for you is going to have to maybe try a lower dose. And that's a good thing. It's going to last longer. I will tell you this though. Over time, guys, the ability to feast, even on the meds, it's a skill you will gain. Feasting in general, feasting on them, because all you're doing is overriding that signal. So to a certain extent, you will develop a skill set, but you are so far from where you need to be right now, caloric wise, from what you said. I wouldn't wait for you to be able to gain that skill. I would actually I would actually focus on getting a lower dose, regaining some appetite, hit those goals, see how your body does, and then decide if you need to increase from there.
Got it. Will do. So for 25, do you think I should drop it down to something like 18, 17? I don't think like half would probably be right, but somewhere maybe in the middle.
Yeah, because we're guessing. We're totally guessing. I was going to say 15. So, yeah, give that a shot, see what that does. And then also on the other end, you could try to get denser foods. And it's tough because carbohydrates are the easiest to eat, but we're trying to go keto. So that only leaves us with meat and fat. And so that's fat. Trying to make shakes with a lot of fat in it is really the only advice because it's liquid is easier to get down. I would drink it faster before the fullness sets in. And that's basically it. We're doing this for a couple weeks, but over time this will get easier and especially if you're targeting both ends of the range. Luma, I finished my first long fast at 36 hours this morning at 9 a.m. When should be my long fast? Make sure I understand that. I finished my long fast at 36 hours. When should my long fast be? Luma, are you asking me how long should it be, or are you asking something different? My next long fast. So, gotcha. Okay, so you finished your first time you did it. You hit 36 hours. You ended the fast. And I think you're asking now, how long should the next one be? Ultimately, that's up to you, right? So we generically create the 48-hour goal, but we adjust it after a few weeks / a few months to see how your body's doing. So next week, when you get into it, see how long you want to go. Now, this is where I go back to the knowing your body, knowing your stress levels. How quickly do you want to get there? Are you concerned about being hit by side effects? And so you could say next time, I'm going to go for 48. And you go to 48, you may hit it, you may not. You will run through more resistance if you try to push it too fast. So then if you want to be more conservative because you're like, you know what, my body, there's a lot going on. That was pretty challenging. I want to take slower steps, then maybe you say, okay, next time, instead of 36, I'm going to go for 38 or 40, and then accomplish that, and then keep going up from there.
I also have a follow-up question on that.
Yeah.
When should the next fast be? Because I know the 24 hours is only when you try it, it's for 2 or 3 days and then you do it again. When the next one should be for a long fast, if
Great
I finish
question.
it this morning.
Totally. So when you're in stage 2, guys, the 24-hour, it's up to twice on separate parts of the week. Once you get to the stage you're in, you are officially in the flow stage. Once you get up that next morning, right, after a full day of not eating from the prior night's dinner, do not do that more than once a week. That's too much. So a 36-hour fast twice a week is too much. You don't want to do that. It's a one time a week. And then the rest of the week, being aware of what Andrew explained, because that can happen. You got to get those calories high enough. And then every week you're just trying to increase it till we get somewhere closer to 48. That makes sense?
Okay, so I'll start the fast the same day I started it the week or this week for next week, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you don't have to, but what I've just from a logistical standpoint, 48 is such a big chunk of the week, right? That's 2 out of 7 days. And so usually there's some amount of planning with people around you and what they get used to, and maybe kids and having a dinner with your family. And what do you do then? And probably that could be a whole separate topic that it's actually probably a good idea. No one's actually asked that question. So for a while, so I probably wouldn't mind talking about that later, but because it's a long chunk of the week, I found with most people, if they schedule it and their life kind of revolves around it, it's strategic. But I'd argue that there's benefit from making it variable because our ancestors never fasted on a schedule, right? So whatever makes sense for you out of those 2 scenarios.
Thank you so much. I felt great too when I did it. It was easier than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
Totally.
So,
Totally.
thank you.
Carlos says drink olive oil. What's so funny? So extra virgin olive oil is very healthy for you. Drinking it straight would be challenging. That would take a certain mindset. I've seen people pour olive oil straight over their steamed vegetables. I'm not going to lie. I don't do that. That doesn't taste great. But extra virgin olive oil in a dressing, throw in some seasoning, throw in some vinegar. Now we're talking. And a salad, I know salad is not a way to get calories. So I would do a really smaller salad with a ton of dressing on it. Could be a way to get olive oil. And you guys know how important it is to get your fats to hit that category. That non-saturated category is challenging. We don't have a lot of foods. Extra virgin olive oil, extra virgin avocado oil inside your dressings is definitely a good way to go about it. Hello. All right. Let's see. MCT oil is another great option. You can do that. Bulletproof coffee is phenomenal. You can do it with tea too as well. You can blend MCT oil. You can blend coconut oil. You can blend. I'm okay with heavy whipping cream too. Again, guys, we're talking about ways to get enough calories in, and these are phenomenal ways to get your calories in. Yes, absolutely. Tony, if you need it to get so what we're talking about is getting enough calories in. So if that's a struggle for you, then that we're coming up with strategies of how to get more calories down. So absolutely putting oil, avocado oil, olive oil in your shakes. Not sure how that would taste though. So you're going to have to experiment with that for sure. Definitely oil in your dressings probably tastes better. In your drinkable shakes, probably more the coconut oil, MCT oil probably complements what you're drinking. But if you guys have seen, what's his face, the anti-aging dude that's trying, Brian Johnson, who's, that guy's an interesting character. If you guys know who he is, he's downing his extra virgin olive oil over his steamed veggies. And I don't know if you could do that. I know a lot of people that love the taste of it straight. He was just posting some recipes out. Yeah, I got to check that out, Sammy. Yeah. So Tony, the concept here is once you are in that long fast every single week, we just got to make sure we're getting enough calories on the other days. Super, super important. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Fantastic. We're caught up on questions. Let's get into some topics here. So somebody was asking about the Lumen, and I've been in contact with a rep before on the Lumen. It's a great device, but those commercials crack me up. I don't know if you've seen the advertisements. I know that I'm burning fat now, so I'm just going to get skinny. Those commercials make me laugh because they act like the test is the solution. Okay, I know that I'm not burning fat, and I know that I am burning fat. What is that going to do for me? Yeah, it's good information, but it's not the solution at all, actually. So they grossly misrepresent those commercials and advertisements. Great device, though, and I think it's super cool, but I haven't even brought it into the arsenal because I don't think it's really worth the money, honestly. If I did, I'd let you guys know. If you like to play around with these things, if you like to be a bit of a techie, and it's great information, just like a Oura Ring, if you guys have seen those to get your sleep metrics, is a great device. And if you want to focus on improving sleep, phenomenal. But I always try to think of information overload, and I can only do so much. And what's the point of having a bunch of amazing things if you can't stick to them? If I thought any of these things were make or break, I would absolutely tell you. An Oura Ring, if you're struggling with sleep, would be something that I would prioritize. But a Lumen or even a continuous blood glucose monitor, same concept, awesome device. Is it actually necessary? So want to save you guys as much money as I possibly can. The Oura is super cool, but I lost 2 Oura Rings in the last 5 years. That's just my fault. Okay. Yes, Mike, the NMN and resveratrol is an anti-aging protocol from Dr. David Sinclair. So NMN is a precursor to NAD, and NAD is one of the cofactors that drives the electron transport chain. And the concept is it's anti-aging. It's a very powerful anti-aging protocol that has some pretty good literature to support it. And NMN is hard to find. So we do have a company. The supply kind of comes in and out, but they are on full scripts, and we have a link to that if you're interested.
I've actually been taking it for a few months, but I don't really feel anything. So I didn't know, somebody else mentioned it in the group, if it was something you're going to feel, or you're just trusting that this is for bettering your health. Or...
Yeah, it's so some people report some improvements in energy and overall, but I would say it's definitely one of those things that you're investing in something that's doing what it does. But it's not something that I recommend that you're going to feel something. No, in most cases. So don't have a ton of patients that I've put on it. So it's a handful, maybe like 20, 30 that I've seen. And only a couple of them were like, yeah, I feel better. All right. So we had a question about supplements, too much supplements and liver health. you can things are processed by almost everything you consume. There's going to be some metabolization that's going to impact the liver. But the concept that supplements are bad for your liver is pretty funny to me. Now, with that being said, I do think that some people may have an impact, right? This is why you do routine checkups. And this is why liver enzymes are on routine metabolic panels. And so if you do have high liver enzymes, that's something that you should be monitoring. And if you add a bunch of new supplements, it would be logical to check it again and see if it goes up, goes down. A lot of the supplements that I'm recommending, though, improve liver health. I'm not too stressed about it. If you are coming into this with some significant liver issues, liver damage, that's a different story. You should be getting your liver enzymes checked anyway. So yeah, don't overthink it. Don't overstress it. Supplements, I'm not, especially what I'm recommending to you guys, causing liver issues. No, that's not happening. All right. So timing of nutrition and workouts around fasting. Phenomenal questions. One of our newer patients, Desiree, you were asked if you're with us. This is for you. I know you just joined the program, so welcome. And you want to get your intermittent fasting going, but you also like to work out in the morning, which is awesome. And so you've heard mixed information about whether or not you should eat right after strength training or resistance training. My goal is to start my first meal around 10 a.m. Okay, so let's talk about this because there's a few things to consider. Where did my mouse go? There we go. Okay, so we're talking about intermittent fasting, not long fasting. It's going to be a separate topic with long fasting, so keep that in mind. But intermittent fasting, you eat dinner the night before, you wake up in the morning, it's been 8 hours, 10 hours, maybe even 12 hours, totally okay for you to go to the gym and lift weights. Now, if you are brand new into this program and you feel like just waking up in the morning and going to the gym and lifting weights puts you into a really stressed out state, you feel really tired, brain foggy, and you just can't lift, let us know, because that's a situation in which your body is so metabolically inflexible that freaking 8 hours of not eating and you can't even do a weight training session. And it's nothing to feel bad about. It's just where your body's at. Multiple factors affect this: inflammation, cortisol, hormones. So there's a lot that goes to this, but we're talking about metabolic health. Metabolic health refers to energy systems, specifically carbohydrate and fat burning. And we know now, I've taught you guys that the more insulin resistant you are, the more challenging it is for your body to get into that fat burning state. And you burn through the carbohydrates really quickly. And so for most people, you're going to, especially if you're starting to make changes in your diet and all the other things that we're doing, the supplements supporting your body. But for most people, you should be able to lift in the morning, no problem. So let's assume you are able to lift and you feel great. Your question was, so that's the concept of pre-workout nutrition. You don't need it. I don't want you eating before your workout. In the morning, if we're starting your intermittent fasting, ideally skip it so that you can get into fat burning. Now, afterwards, so you're asking, if I work out at 6, I finish at 7, but I don't want to start my eating window to 10. Totally okay. You should be able to do that. Try it, see how you feel. But that requires more metabolic flexibility. So same thing, if you're noticing that maybe you're able to get through your workout, but maybe you're struggling to make it till 10, then end your fast earlier and then start to increase that fasting window till you can get to that point. If you're watching these clips from my coaching calls and wishing you can be part of the team, I'll put a link in the description, but we have thousands of individuals who are kicking ass using microdose intermittent use protocols and implementing sustainable lifestyle strategies, guys. Click that link, fill out your information. Now, back to the show. So it'll be no different than progressing through fasting in general. When you exercise in your fasting window, whether you're weight training, whether you're doing cardio, high intensity, low intensity, there's this common theme that the more that you're demanding of your body during the fast, it's like fasting for a longer period of time. It is very challenging. I don't want any of you guys beyond the intermittent fasting. Once we get past 12 hours, I don't want you guys doing any high intensity stuff, weight training, high intensity interval training. It's in the future, yes. When you become metabolically fit, yes, it's super awesome to be able to fast for 24 hours and go lift heavy weights. But do that right now, you're not going to feel good. and it could be way too stressful. So we'll get you there. We want to build that metabolic flexibility, but it takes time. And so right now, you just got to slowly test your body, test the waters, and get yourself to that point. Now, that's the concept of ending your fast and delaying your eating window. Now, the other concept of post-lifting nutrition, if we're not talking about fasting and we're just talking about lifting in general, especially if you're trying to build muscle mass, ideally, you do want to get whey protein in or some sort of protein after your workout. 1 hour would be optimal. And this is why it gets really confusing, because in a general sense, you're lifting weights to help your muscles grow. And so feeding it protein 1 hour after will improve the amount of growth potential from your muscles. But if we're trying to do two things at the same time, now we're fasting, now we're trying to weight train. And so we have to find that middle ground. So if you're doing my protocol, which you guys are, especially in the beginning, I'm okay with you holding off the protein intake for the benefit of trying to get the fat burning going, because that's the primary goal. As you guys start progressing closer to your goal, you're 2, 4, 6 months to it. You guys have heard me talk about this. This is where we start to sort of, the whole scale going down thing starts to become less of a thing, and your body composition changing and taking pictures and clothes size becomes a bigger thing, because at that point, we're no longer focusing on fat loss and muscle preservation, but at that point, we're focusing on building muscle mass and maybe losing fat at the same time, maybe even building muscle mass and just trying to not gain fat. And some of you might lose muscle mass, and we even say, hey, we got to prioritize muscle building so much that we're going to focus on that and minimize fat gain. So you see how there's different approaches and different layers, but that's in the future. So in the beginning right now, we're not trying to maximize muscular growth, but we are trying to prevent muscular breakdown as much as we possibly can. Okay.
Tony has a question.
Yes.
Does CBD oil take us out of fasting?
No. Is it a lot of calories of oil that you're having to, like, how many calories of oil is it?
2 droppers full.
No. So there might be some calories in it. It depends on what kind of oil, but we've talked about this before. So like fish oil has about 10 calories a pill. I'm okay with that. Your Nut Pods creamer is 10 calories per tablespoon. So we're in those super low amounts of calories. We're fine. Is it normal to feel tired after doing so well for the first 4 weeks without changing anything? Yes, not normal, but we know what's likely happening. So great question. So Lisa's 4 weeks in, she's kicking ass, everything's going great, and then all of a sudden she's feeling tired. Lisa, are you with us now? Okay, so tell me a little bit more about what's going on when the tiredness kicked in.
For the first 4 weeks did great, been losing an average of 3 a week, was only doing Pilates. This week, I normally fast. I did the 48-hour fast right away from day one. It wasn't a big deal for me. This week, I went back to weight training, but my fasting days are Monday and Tuesday, so I decided to weight train on Monday. And just all week, I feel like I'm just exhausted, like I can't catch up.
Okay. So let me make sure I understand. You weight trained in the beginning of the 48 and then just continue with the whole 40. Oof. Okay.
Yes.
So that's an advanced move. And that, because you're asking your body to essentially go, like I said earlier, right? It's like extending the fasting window. So I don't think that caused the issue though. It could be like an overall stress, just too much on the body, could be, but I'm actually thinking that this might just be a weight loss plateau. Did you notice any other symptoms by chance? You're tired. Did you notice any brain fog, any constipation, any feeling cold, getting achy, any of those symptoms? Just tiredness?
No, just sore. I do feel like, because I weight trained twice this week so far, I do feel muscle recovery is a little slower.
Okay.
But nothing else.
I think this is, and then did you still lose weight this last week? Like no stalled weight loss results, or?
I haven't weighed I weigh myself on Mondays, so I haven't weighed yet.
Yeah, let us know. But if you notice 1 week and then especially 2 weeks, then we know what it is. It's a stall. And then we just got to do a reset and fix it up. If you keep losing weight, which could happen, then I just think you just pushed it a little bit too much with your body, and maybe it's a short-term thing and you feel better. Those are my 2 guesses. So we need time for you to give us an update, and then we can get a better idea. So definitely let us know next week for sure.
And do you think perhaps Monday coming up, I should not do my weight training and just try to push all my weight training at the end of the week?
I would try to, yeah, let's bring the notch back down a little bit. And if you
Okay.
are, so I'm just trying to think. So you like to do your fasting from Sunday evening to Tuesday evening. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Then I would see if you can either train on Sunday morning, get a meal in or two afterwards, or
Okay.
Tuesday evening. So then you eat Wednesdays
Yeah.
or Thursday.
Okay. Got it.
Liver detox. So let's finish that. We were getting into 2 weeks ago, transitioning to the flow lifestyle. We have a lot of new people. And so flow lifestyle is what I refer to as the maintenance. So you finished the flow protocol, you became very insulin sensitive, you reduced your inflammation, you achieved your weight loss goal, things are feeling great. You didn't necessarily have to wean off the meds, but you at least got to a much more micro dosing or intermittent use protocol, which is definitely more of an option now lately as I've become more comfortable. So totally your call if you want to wean off entirely and maintain weight, or if you want to adopt a micro/intermittent, those are also awesome too as well. And so the big thing about the lifestyle is we're still doing a lot of the same strategies. In fact, everything. The only difference about the flow lifestyle is just the intensity of your fasting. That's all. So we decrease the long weekly fasting. Fasting that long, anything more than 24 hours on a weekly basis is definitely a lot when you're already at a good body fat goal. But maintenance requires a little bit of it, right? So I find that for most people to maintain with all the other strategies we do, one long fast, say for example, 48 every 2 to 4 weeks. Maybe you like the 3-day fasting. Totally cool. Up to you. Do that maybe 3 to 6 weeks. You're going to have to find a balance in the lifestyle, and it's going to change. The reason why it's going to change so much is because your life is going to change. There's going to be months where you're kicking ass and stress levels are controlled and you're doing really good. And there's going to be months where you fall off the bandwagon. I think Christmas is going to be a month where we should all probably, December is a month, November and December are months where we eat more. We know that. We have more festivities. We have probably more things that get in the way of our gym time. And so I always fast more around the holidays. It's just what I do because it's a really awesome way to offset, and I can get into whatever social setting and let myself eat as much as I want. And that's why you guys know I named my book Fast, Feast, and Flourish, because I truthfully think that's a lifestyle that's just easy to adhere to. And it also gives us the benefits of staying really insulin sensitive. We want to stay insulin sensitive. That is your ticket to lasting weight loss. We're achieving insulin sensitivity, which, by the way, guys, saying it's the same thing to become more insulin sensitive. Improving insulin sensitivity is the same thing as decreasing insulin resistance, just because sometimes you guys hear those terms and I've used them interchangeably. And I want you guys to know that means the same thing. So getting rid of your insulin resistance, the best thing you can do for staying lean or staying healthy for the rest of your life is just staying very insulin sensitive. So you do a routine lab once a year, you keep checking your fasting insulin levels, and that's how you can stay very objective with it. At the end of this program, your fasting insulin levels and C-peptide are going to be really low. Like that will happen. And then you check it again when you're off the meds or you're on that microdose. And then just once a year, keep checking it. Way better than checking your A1C. Because remember, your A1C doesn't go up until you've been battling with this insulin resistance increasing for years and years. And so A1C pretty much becomes like not helpful anymore. Your fasting insulin becomes helpful. So just keep that in mind as far as the future and what it looks like and how do I stay there, and play with your fasting. If you could maintain, if you hate the long fasting, which I haven't had really anybody ask me this, but if you really did, you can maybe decrease it to once every quarter, but continue to check your fasting insulin. And if you're noticing your fasting insulin creep up, and I don't know how often you're going to be checking your fasting insulin though, like you could certainly check it quarterly if you want. It's a really cheap test. I think we might even probably get a point where we can just offer it really cheap for you guys too. It's probably something that I think we'll end up doing naturally. So yeah, quarterly would be great too, to check your fasting insulin and C-peptide in the future. Okay, so that's the flow lifestyle. And so we talked about last time the mindset and just really understanding what that is and what to be prepared for. We talked about decreasing and titrating your doses to more of that intermittent micro. We talked about stopping your AOD and then stopping your GLP-1s, decreasing it. So guys, if you haven't seen that, definitely go watch that one too as well, because it's the first part of what I'm going to finish off here. And then we talked about the fasting after you're off the AOD and you're on a micro dose of the GLP-1, if that's what you want to do. Then you start decreasing your fasting window. Don't go from every week to once a month. Don't do that. That's a big shock. So maybe go from once a month to twice a month, or sorry, go from once a week to every other week, right? Twice a month. Do that for a month or two, feel really stable, and then continue to decrease from there. Okay, transitioning into the supplements. So remember, we have some really good supplements that can aid you in the appetite suppressing categories. So the Unimate and the Balance are awesome. Other than the price isn't awesome, but those supplements are pretty awesome. And I use those all the time. And I will continue to use those, not every day, but definitely on my long fasting days. And if I ever have just a day where I'm just like really hungry and I am looking at the week balance, and if I feel like I want to lean out a little bit more, then I'll take a Unimate. And if there's a week where I'm like, I'm doing really good, then I might eat. So I have flexibility and variety, and I make a choice based off of balance, where I'm at and how I'm feeling, and also the fact that I want variety too as well. So I don't overthink it. But you have Unimate, you have Balance, and then you have CaloCurb, which is another really awesome supplement. CaloCurb is really awesome. These supplements can be used together. That product can go up to 4, 5, 6 pills a day. Just make sure you're taking your time and increasing slowly. The worst thing, it causes a little bit of a upset stomach, but I don't see that often. And you can use that as well, either as maybe say you hit your goal, you're stable, you decrease your fasting, you're on these supplements every day, then that could be like the next stage where after another month of stability, you can begin to decrease these fasting supplements. So you have these options, and I just want to make sure you guys are aware of them, because this is why I always recommend having the CaloCurb, the Unimate ready to go, handy, so that you can use it whenever you need it. Okay, so Anna, I'm reading your question. My morning glucose for years, even when I was heavier, usually around 85 to 90. This week and last week, I noticed that my glucose is 103, 105 when I rise. Anna, are you diabetic?
No, I'm not.
You're not diabetic, so you're not on any diabetic lowering medications.
Nope.
That's important to understand. You've always had a lower blood sugar level, and you noticed this last week, it just went up to 103, 105.
I want to relate it. I want to see if it's related to my protein going up so much, because I'm trying to get my calories up. I'm on reset and I'm trying to get my calories up by eating more fat and protein.
Right.
But then now I've been waking up to my glucose being way higher than normal, which I haven't felt it per se, but now I'm wondering if that's going to be impacting my ability to lose weight, if it's affecting my insulin or just my glucose levels. And is it related to protein consumption?
That's an unusual thing for sure. I was asking about as people are on diabetic medications and they start improving their health, they're getting off the meds. There are points when you guys are fasting where your body is, because your body's so used to having stuffed sugar in the cell and the tissues, that you'll notice your blood sugars are getting better, but then you notice, I don't know, where your blood sugars rise for a couple of days to a week or two, and then it gets back to being better. That's literally the body letting go of stored glucose that it's had there for a long time. And so this is a good thing, but that's why I was asking if you were coming from that side. But if you haven't, how was your A1C? Has your A1C always been good before, is what you're saying?
I don't know, but I've never had any problems with it. I was really heavy at about 210 pounds. And of course, they said I was pre-diabetic, and that's when I got on everything to lose weight and control my nutrition, but it's never been a problem, ever.
Okay. Yeah, I think without looking at A1Cs, I'm only guessing, but if you don't feel worse right now, if you don't feel like there's a problem, just keep watching the numbers. Let us know. I think it might be a short-term thing and it could be a dumping thing still, but we need to see, because obviously if your sugars keep staying that high, that's a problem. Then we need to figure it out. But I would just let us know, and let's see how many days has it been like this high now compared to the 85, 90?
I'd say about 2 weeks.
Okay. I'd let us know, see by 3 or 4 if it's not starting to return back. Yes, it could be related to the fact that you're eating more, but you're not eating in excess. See,
No.
that's the thing. So that's why I don't, any stressors in your life, anything like that would spike the cortisol up. Interesting.
No, actually, it's been quite the opposite. I've actually noticed stressors going down. I've noticed I'm walking a lot more. I'm exercising a lot more. I'm doing everything right. So I just in my head thought, okay, I'm eating that much more protein because it really is more than what I usually consume. If I'm a little stressed out because I'm not eating enough calories and protein, maybe, but that's nothing compared to the stress I've had in my life.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
what I was going to say is I usually have a hard time sleeping. I keep saying it over and over again that I get 2 to 4 hours sleep. By the way, I bought your supplements. I bought the MagMind and the Rest formula.
Good.
And today was the first day that I actually slept 10 hours.
No
Literally.
way.
I haven't
Really?
slept 10 hours in, I would say, probably 10 years, which was amazing. And I woke up refreshed and excited, but then my glucose was really high.
Yeah, you're not trending in the wrong direction. There's no way when you go from being that. I think your body's shocked because it hasn't had this kind of sleep for a decade. I've never seen somebody to go for that long and that sleep deprived and be able to function as much as you did. So I wouldn't be surprised if we notice other weird things happen as your body sort of goes, oh my gosh, I could breathe, I could rejuvenate. There was some sort of mega compensation and adaptation that your body had to figure out to run off of that low of sleep. That wasn't good for you, but you just trucked through it with a tough mindset is what I'm guessing. Yeah, that's crazy. That's awesome. I'm going to have you put that on a video, by the way, because that's super cool.
The good news is I'm down 17 pounds today. Today's my 56th birthday. And,
awesome. Happy birthday.
My goal was, thank you. My goal was to be 20 pounds down, but I'm really excited because I'm starting to see shape in my body again. I'm starting to feel me normal, like normal 10 years ago normal. And I'm excited. I'm almost want to cry. I'm so happy. I look good. I feel good. And I thought I had to get a certain weight, like 20, 25. It's not. I just really feel good now with resting and sleeping and protein and eating. I feel like I've got just so much ahead of me. This is like the beginning. So I'm not disappointed. I just don't want to be eating so much protein if that were the culprit or doing something that's going to mess up my results.
And I think I didn't realize you're only talking about your morning blood sugar, not the whole day.
No.
Yeah. And so I'm much less worried about. In the morning, you are supposed to have a spike of blood glucose in the morning. That's what's supposed to happen. So yeah, if it's going back down to normal, your A1C is not going to change, and we're not worried. If anything, your A1C could keep going down. So awesome, Anna. Thank you for sharing that, by the way. If you guys enjoyed watching this video, then you guys are going to want to check this one out. I take a deep dive into fasting and overall lasting weight loss strategies utilizing these GLP-1 medications in the best format, microdosing, intermittent usage. Check that out, guys. We'll see you later.